what the name of the coffee shop was that was often referred to as the first beatnik place in the community?
The underground.
Was it called the Underground?
Yeah.
You were probably one to frequent it. You are the first person I've been able to find here in the last few weeks who knew that answer. Good, thank you. We'll have that recorded then. Good, thank you. And I don't know how long it existed. You know, on the rail, a little bit of trivia, the rail on the sidewalk up there, the top of it was not a flat, long rail. They had indentures on it, you know, to make it, you know, on the top of the rail going all the way across, to discourage town characters from sitting on it and whiling away their hours sitting right there on that. They made it so you couldn't sit on the top of it. Well, so much for the Hotel Allen, 1950 to 15 to 50. The Allen Hotel dining room. There we go with the name of the actual restaurant. It went by different names, though. It also went by Polly Allen Hotel. There was a Polly, I'm trying to remember the rest of the name of that, farther down the street on Sandusky. That person ended up taking over this and ended up running the restaurant there at the Allen Hotel. There we go. The names of those places: the Fort Delaware in 1951 to 1960, Delaware Inn 61 to 1975. Now we often think the Delaware Inn was down where the Holiday Inn was, down on South Sandusky, but no, at one point this was called the Delaware Inn. And there was a Delaware Inn for about a year or so down here by the Strand, in the area where it became a restaurant by different names, Julio's, we'll see the slide of it, but it was also the Delaware Inn. So there were 3 Delaware Inn restaurants over a period of years. And then in 1845, the building was raised, and then in December of 77 to February of 78 was when actually they took down that building. In other words, they took down the old original hotel building and built the Bank Ohio in 1979. Let's go to our next slide. Here's a bit of an aerial view. Right there in the center it says Strand Theater. We'll be talking about that. So on the left, at the bottom right there is the PNC Bank today, where the hotel had been taken down, and then of course the next building down across you can get an idea as to the entire length of what we're talking about tonight. Our next one. Bowling alleys. Now here's the thing. This building was built as, anybody know what it was called when it was built originally?
New York Cash Store.
That's it, Jack. In fact, Jack, I think you could give this program.
Well,
You've spent a lot of time on this street,
I
haven't you?
did.
And we're going to get to that too, but yes.
Not in the bars.
I love that seal those records, Jack.
But yes, this whole building that we are in now was built as the New York Cash Store, and it went from here down to, well, past the Strand, down in that area, and we'll see some pictures of it here shortly. But part of that was also that upstairs, right about up over here in our next building, at 22. Now we are at 20. Oh, we are at 22.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's okay, I'm sorry. It is above us.
it's directly above.
Right. 22 and a half was where recreation bowling was located. From 1922 up to 1960 is what that time period was. 6 bowling lanes up there. And it was built by a man by the name of Foster. Eventually, a man by the name of Clint Beckley had that bowling alley for many years. Then a family by the name of Baxter's moved into town. And they then were convinced by Mr. Beckley to take over the bowling alley and they said, they've given us the problems, we want to build a new bowling alley in town, but we haven't got much cooperation in being able to get a loan of any kind. Said, you're newcomers, I bet maybe if you pushed it, you could get it. So they had bowling alley for a couple of years, the Baxters did. Then they moved out to Delaware Lanes, which is the one out on the east side. The Baxters took over that. The 6 bowling lanes that were up here were taken out the side window, right back up here upstairs, and taken out to the Delaware Lanes, and the last 6 lanes at Delaware Lanes are from this bowling alley up here. About the bowling alley, I went and talked with Mrs. Baxter here just a couple days ago, and she's a character. And she had also Eileen's restaurant. She and the Baxters also had that restaurant. Do I see Dave Baxter back here?
You do, but it was Betty and Odie that had Eileen's restaurant.
Right.
And it was only Betty and Odie that owned the bowling alley upstairs.
Okay.
And then in the fall of '61 is when the bowling alley east of town, and that's when my parents moved from Delaware County to here to go into business with Betty and Odie.
Well, I was hoping you were going to make it tonight. Good. Thank you for giving sense. Do you remember it?
Oh yeah.
Come up here. Come up here. This is audience participation, you know. What do you remember about that bowling alley? I talked to Bruce, your cousin there, just the last couple of days too. But what do you remember about that bowling alley?
Well, really not that much, other than it had the 6 lanes, all wood, and it was prior to automatic pin setters.
I know that for a fact. You know why?
You were a pin boy?
No, I wasn't. But Sue Heston, would you come up here, please? But keep going while she's big up there.
You know, over the years, there would be a lot of people that said, they would tell me stories about they had set pins there, and then there would be stories that there were people who would be ornery that would see the legs.
Yes.
And they throw the ball and try and get kids with the bowling. Now, I personally can't imagine doing that to somebody, but I guess it was done.
So, Sue, I just learned this yesterday. So I'm always finding new things from these people around town. And Sue, have you ever been in that bowling alley?
My brother Bill worked for Beckley, and when they weren't busy, he told me, I was probably junior high school, and he taught me into coming up and setting the pins for me. He showed me how to straddle that thing and try not to get hit by the pins. And if I would set pins for him, he would set pins for me. I don't remember him ever setting them for me, but I sure set them. So.
And you literally had to pick up the ball
Yeah.
to send it back as well.
And
So you
throw it back
bend
down
over
the
and
other
then
side.
you set it on a ramp, and the ramp would propel it back.
It's hard work.
It was.
And they got something like
8 cents a line is what Mrs. Baxter told me.
okay, she would probably know.
8 cents a line, meaning, and I had to ask her, what do you mean by a line? And she said, per game.
Yeah, for 12 frame.
For 12 frame, they got 8 cents for pay to set those pins up there. And she said they worked hard, they really earned their money. And she said, and I did it too. She said, I spent my time back there doing that. They had they had a snack bar?
Yes.
Yes.
And I believe they sold beer as well,
Okay.
but I don't think they had a liquor license. But I don't know if any of you know my Aunt Betty Baxter, but she is indeed a character. And she was way before her time as far as women's lib. She's the person that kind of ran things, and an incredible woman. I mean, I love her to death. And she was just turned 90, I think, last April, so she'll be 91 this coming year.
Yeah, she said she surely would have wished she could have been here. She's unable to get here, but she said they sure brought back great memories of that time. And she said they had men's leagues, women's leagues, and mixed leagues. They had 6, and they said there was a stand at this end that you could it was up higher, and you